So, Horizon Zero Dawn, it's Horizon Zero Dawn o'clock, which is not actually dawn. It's 7 p.m. on Tuesdays. The big thing that we did last time was finding out about the blue light and the satellite, which I'm still proud of myself for figuring out that there was satellite based on what the Tallnecks say. So that gives us some more context. We'll kind of piece things together. Other than that, we fought a bunch of things. We got a metal flower. I thought I'd looked at it, but apparently I hadn't. So we now have a complete set of metal flowers to turn in. So we'll see what that snobby guy has to say. Curious that I don't have any of the metal flowers in set 2. I wonder where location-wise that takes place. Watching the river through a window of trees, spring rain falls. Like, they're just absolutely beautifully written. Like, this one right here is very interesting because it reflects... Okay, we're going to take a moment, then we're going to dive on in. I'm going to give folks a few minutes to catch up here. So if they get here a few minutes late, they've still got a chance to not miss too much of the big story stuff, because we're about to go down to where there is big story. Big story happening. And so I'm stalling a little bit so that anybody who's slightly tardy and comes in, like, you know, they slip into the back of the room and they sit down and they pretend that they weren't late to class. I'm going to stall by looking at these metal flowers and hit the right button. See if there's anything else here that I want to comment on. So a lot of this is just beautiful. A moment caught in time, and an image, a feeling, a sensation, which I'm not a scholar of poetry and I'm not an expert on haiku, but as I understand it, as much as in English we say that what makes a haiku is the syllables, that's only one part. It's more the feeling, the essence of a haiku. And this has that feeling and essence, you know? Friends in a previous life, butterflies. Did you kind of wonder, friends in a previous life, does that reflect something about the beliefs of the person who wrote this set of poetry? This question of who'll be here, this all that remains of soldiers' dreams. So in this case, I think the summer grasses are growing over the graves of the soldiers, which there's a famous poem about poppy fields that I think is a similar sentiment to this. From the mind of a single long vine, 100 opening lives. I think that this is kind of talking a little bit about the whatever reawakening happens, like when when Mother's Cradle, the ark opens and the world is reseeded. These flowers, like these metal flowers, go out and they reseed the ground once it's ready. I think that this is referring to something about that, like capturing the essence of that. So one thing blossoms into many. The concept blossoms into many. I don't know. I feel like there's more than just short poems about nature, and I thought you could have haikus that were technically haikus that weren't about nature, but like I said, I'm not actually a scholar of this, so I have not... I can't say what the official definition in traditional Japanese literature is, so I may be mistaken, but I thought you could have some that were not not about nature, but still counted, but I could be wrong. But so the rest of these, a couple of these have thoughts or reflect something about the person writing them, but for the most part, they're just beautiful images. And I wonder, actually, now that I look at this, because we don't have any of set 2's, and then set 3 uses actual poetry from our world that we can look up. And this is one that I'd actually been familiar with in advance. But I kind of wonder, because I believe these may be all European, maybe some of them are American, but these are existing poems, and I don't know that these haikus over here are existing poems, but I don't know how to take them in relation to one another. like be across the sets, because I have nothing from set 2, so I have no idea. Could it be that there are different people working on this project, and they all agreed to put poetry, so that it's not just the plants that are regrowing, but certain beautiful pieces of society, of culture, also is preserved. And then I wonder whether these would be different individuals or different groups of individuals with different cultural backgrounds, capturing the poetry that speaks to them, or writing their own. But I can't say until I see what set 2 is, so I guess I should probably start looking for some set 2 metal flowers at some point. But yeah, that's that. We also got a Banuk artifact, and we thought about the Banuk a little bit. Had some interesting cultural observations. And now we're going to go into what is called the Grave-Hoard. Am I still? Yeah, I'm still wearing my sneak suit. I need to get the fancy sneak suit. Whew. Alright, now how do I get back down there? I think that there's just an easy walk down here. And then you just go around. I don't think they made this one challenging to get to because it's main story quest and stuff. I'm really intrigued that we've got another one of these metal devils here. The Nora talk as though the metal devil is unique to their territory, as though it's a one thing. But there's another one here. Clearly, in Banuk territory. I know the Nora don't allow the Banuk into their territory, and they're not supposed to go up to Banuk territory, so perhaps they haven't had a chance to talk about these things. But we're gonna just go down. Are you folks okay with me just going down here like this? A little bit nervous, not gonna lie. But there's a lot of story. Oh! That's a robot hand, and these look like... Oh shoot, there's enemies down there. Because these things right here look like walls, kind of, that you set up and then you hide behind them. You know, XCOM style. But there's corrupted watchers down there. And I guess I did actually see cultists on my way in here. I think I fought some cultists. So, I think we knew, and I forgot, that there were going to be cultists down here. That's part of the thing here. Sergeant Ames Guliyer. 9th Mechanized Response Brigade. Shall we? Oh, there's a couple of dudes up here. Look at that. Cultist Dredger, Cultist Punisher. Okay, I probably want to take the Watcher out first and then take them out. But shall we start with the data point? Let's start with a data point. I'm gonna do that if nobody says no. Oh, I went off of it.
Say again, Lieutenant.
I got you. Titan is through the defenses. Still on approach. Ah, crap. A live one. And he's pissed.
We've got no mobility in here. It'll punch right through us.
We hold the hedge at all costs. Then push back out.
Battle. Frozen in ice. Time.
Yeah. Huh. That's interesting. The mechanized response brigade, I'm a little concerned about. A little curious about how this all fits together. If they're using machines on their side, although, to be fair, not all machines were the enemy at this point.
Looks like quite an enduring victory we put our foot in today. Contact in 30 seconds. Hey, think that's
enough time for Sobeck to finish Zero Dawn?
If this is really it, I gotta say, it's been an honor to serve beside these tanks.
Here it comes.
Brace for contact!
Are you getting this, Sylens?
Right.
Sylens?
Right, Sylens is listening in. So the tanks that we've been seeing all around have been what these 9th Mechanized Response Brigade and their peers. It does not look like they did very well, but they tried. Okay, so these are the individuals that we've been hearing talking on each other's comms.
Titan inbound, same play as Akron. Base defense locks it down. We engage, sever the lens, blast out the fountains.
Another day in the life. Record time, really close. MIB on point. Hoorah!
Okay, who tells us something about their background, right? That one's actually military, yeah? It's interesting though, like so they know what Sobeck is up to. Sobeck being the scientist that Aloy is presumably a clone of, which, if you'll recall, Zero Dawn is her plan to, I think, make it so that there is nothing for the robots to eat. Let's see. Let's take a look at these. This one hasn't spoken on the others. Thing. So let's see what Usizo Wandari has to say. It's extra tense having this music.
Sylens, you getting this?
What is it?
All these soldiers. They died here.
Yeah.
People die all the time. I'll keep going and find something interesting.
Shut up, Sylens. So you hear somebody dying horribly. Who's one of the people that we listened to over there? Vandana Sarai killed in action. Lana Acosta killed in action. Yeah, if you forgot, Sylens is a total jerk. Alright, so now I have to figure out the best way to do this. I can take these guys out pretty well, and I can take that guy out pretty well. So what I could do is I can't drop this guy in one hit. If he were a little guy, an actual little guy, I could, but he's not. He's a corrupted watcher. So I don't think I can take him in one hit. However, I do have... Let's see those guys. Are they looking? Oh, they're looking the other way. Okay, cool. Because what I can do is I can put 2 arrows. I can put 2 arrows and try to see if I can drop it in one shot. When it walks away from them, then I'm going to hopefully not be seen when I shoot it. That's my goal. Here. Come on. Come on, buddy. I'm sure there's something I'm supposed to do there. That's why they give me that little pause. Let's see what we're gonna do. Okay, sweet. That's what I was hoping for.
First strike.
Oh, you're a boss.
You're...
Oh, he's gonna somersault and then get shot in the face.
Oh,
Okay.
that does it. Time to take a look around the room.
I already looked around the room-ish, because I could. Alright, that wasn't too bad. Operation Enduring Victory. Oh, that is what they were joking. So they definitely got a bit of gallows humor, which is not surprising with interesting that stuff is still showing. But gallows humor is not that uncommon. Oh, good. Medicinal gray. Yeah. Look at the foot on this thing. Just look at that. It's got an interesting texture to it. The sounds are very unsettling here. Can I do anything? There's like the robots crying in pain sort of sound. Yeah, see, they've been calcified or whatever that is. But killed in action. So there's not a button to do anything with, although there's the triangles coming off of them, you know? Here's this guy, which I've taken out. These tanks, which we've been seeing all along. Then we saw some in very good shape up there. Okay, we're going to continue to take this because I assume this means there's a boss fight coming. What are those sounds? But yeah, this definitely looks like you can see that this is I don't remember what it's called, but when they dig in and put up wall thingies, there's a name for that. Yeah, this is gonna be a boss fight. I'm gonna be really sad, aren't I? A whole bunch of tanks. It's a bunker. I don't know if barricade is necessarily the word I want, but it's specifically when you set up a wall thingy that you hide behind. A barricade is more if you set up a wall thing to stop other people from going through. So here's one of these big tanks, and they've put this stuff around the tank. The tank's not going anywhere. They're using it for protection. The snow is making the sound underfoot that snow crunching underfoot sounds like, which is a very disconcerting thing if you're not accustomed to it. When I first moved into a cold climate and I heard the sound of snow crunching under my feet, it was very strange. It was even stranger when I realized that my car driving on snow made a similar sound. Sorry, we're looking at everything here because we can. Even though I don't think there's anything to interact with over here, I'm still looking, scoping it out. Yeah, so we've got a tank in here. The question is, though, this facility, they're expecting something to come in, or else they're expecting something to come out, they said. Operation Enduring Victory.
Operation Enduring Victory. What did that mean? Whatever it was, doesn't seem to have turned out very well.
No, but I'm not sure that they truly expected it to. They were just buying time at that point. Okay, yeah, this is definitely going to be a boss fight. My knowledge of video game mechanics tells me so. It's probably not going to be very good for me. Aloy, I apologize in advance if I get you killed, honey. Am I going to slide down this? This looks like I'm going to slide down this. I bet I am. Well, I'm probably going to get you killed trying to slide down this. What's down there? Is that wind or water? I'm not picking up on anything. Like, I think I'm gonna have to, like, hook onto something. Maybe I'm gonna have to rappel down or something. Oh, there we go, drop to ledge. But now what? I'm really not sure I can do anything else from here. Unless there's a ladder, but I don't see one. Nothing here is yellow. So I can't even say for sure that I'm supposed to do anything. And I would definitely die if I made that fall. Made that fall. Made that fell. Okay, so game design is not doing me any favors here. I am really bad at being able to tell when I'm supposed to be able to jump down. I think I'm supposed to be able to jump down here, but I'm really not sure what to do. So we might just jump to our death and have to do that fight again? Will you guys forgive me if I do something really dumb and we have to do that fight again? See, there's a thing that looks like I can jump to it there. Maybe I'm gonna go save. Maybe I'm gonna go save. So maybe I don't have to do that fight again. Or pick up those things again. If I can't... Wait, no, I can't get out of here, can I? Oh, I know I can. I can. I can get out of here. Okay, we're gonna go do that. And... maybe it's not saving time in the long run. Gosh. They sure did crush a lot of stuff. Yes, if I die on that route, then it is, in fact. I am happy to blame that on the designers. But as I have complained before... So interestingly, like looking at the colors of these ribbons, you know? I don't know if this is... I don't know. I'm curious. We're gonna save here. Then we're gonna go back down. Hopefully not have to fight those guys again. And then try to make that jump. See if we can. I'm not convinced I'll be able to pull it off. But I will give it a try. Okay, so... but the metal devil is here. I just... you know, I'm gonna stop trying to piece this together. Because I don't know, man. I do not know. Okay, yeah. Scary music did not start up again, which tells me the guys did not respawn. Yay! It's a giant foot. A very bird-like foot. Alright, we're gonna try it. We're gonna see what happens. You ready? Woo! Okay. Well. That... that was something. Okay, so I can't do anything this way, right? I think there's data points, like, everywhere. Oh my goodness. Okay, so this is a bunker, the same as the other one. So the other one were other people doing things, but we didn't see Sobeck there. I wonder if we're going to see Sobeck here. Okay, so this looks like that's maybe how you continue downward. But this is going to be how we continue story-wise, which I care about. I remember being confused my first time around, like, what has happened to these people. They don't look like just generic ancient bodies. They have...
Must have been where the soldiers slept. Like the lodge in Mother's Heart, I guess.
That's the comparison she can make. Oh, Aloy. But they also... I don't know. What's this one? A log. Okay, let's listen to what these people have to say.
Log. Third Battle of California Marine. The swarm came in from the Pacific, and I don't know if it was the local Minutemen or the crazy 15th, but they'd set the garbage patch alight. Man, the sea was on fire. That stuff was... The first wave of bots came in covered in burning sludge. It bought us an hour or two of slaughtering them on the beaches before the swarm recalculated. We pulled them inland, back through the Kalmar sprawl. Dropped buildings on them, EMP'd the grid. Standard operating procedure. The last time I was in California, I was 5, 6? The light was like that vintage social net filter that was everywhere in the 40s.
Vintage social net filter? I'm curious about that. So they came in on California. They came in on the coast. I wonder if the idea was to draw them away from where there were a lot of people, and to draw them away from where the research was being able to was being done, so people could ceremonially could have time to die in a way that wasn't terrible. You know, choosing a kinder death is kind of the only option I think that they had. So they were buying time. And we know what the swarms are like. We've already read about that. We've heard about that. Alright.
Log. First battle of the eastern seaboard wall. Had a long run up to it. This was before Kalmar, and projections were a lot worse for the east. For 3 weeks we kept getting scrambled out to some coastal burg to train Minutemen. It was always raining on account of Europe already being torched. Block after block of prefab barracks. They were still printing barracks right up until the hour the main force hit. The Minutemen? We ran combat drills with them in the streets where they'd lived, trying to pretend they might live to die somewhere else if they paid attention. Nothing worse than the ones who actually bought into it. Hopeful, pestering us with questions about Zero Dawn like we know something they don't. I swear, the more we do this, the more like the bots we are. Except they learn from every fight. And us? I'm not so sure.
So the Minutemen are the civilians. They're training up civilians to do this, to fight. They go from town to town, city to city, wherever they are, training up civilians. They're not able to take out the bots. It's hitting from the coasts on both sides. Europe goes first, which makes me wonder how much of Europe is left if the US was where, I mean, obviously it was an American company that was responsible for the bots. And I wonder, I mean, Sobeck is also American. I don't know. Is that a foot? Maybe that's just rock. That's just rock. We're just gonna assume that's just rock. There's a lot more data points in here. You kind of wonder how everyone and everything else turned out too, you know? Because we've only gotten a view of a very, very small section of the world. And I don't think Sylens has said anything about being from very far away or having seen other parts of the world outside of this. I mean, I don't think we know where he's from exactly.
What was this place?
Barracks. Is that where I came from? No, this is new. Okay. I'm being very cautious because I'm afraid. Oh, thank you, Blues! Thank you for subscribing, friend, and welcome. We're getting some insight into the soldiers who died here. Oh, voicemail. This sounds like this is going to be humanizing.
Recalls, I've been instructed to remind you of Article 115 of base policy regarding unauthorized use of processor cycles. Specifically 115C. Any holographic simulation not directly related to operational training or efficiency. Consider yourself reminded and enjoy your gaming.
I'm supposed to remind you not to play games here, so I'm reminding you. Anyway. Have fun. Yeah, human's gonna human. And folks have got to have something, you know? It was gonna be either that or porn. You know? That's where it came from. There's more stuff in here. And that way looks like this is the way to go, so we're gonna go through here. So you could just run through here if you don't want to pick up this story. Yeah, no, she seems like a good boss. I was trying to place her accent. Couldn't quite. Like, it sounded like it was maybe going for, like, educated Southern, but I'm not sure. Or was she Boston? Was it Boston? I have a hard time with Boston. There's just something about the roundness of some of the consonants. I don't know. Anyway, let's see what this one is. Sergeant Guliyer, just a little longer. This is not going to be positive, though.
Thanks for the mails, you. Time goes fast on active duty. 4 months with the wreck and recalls. I don't know, 20 drops. In and out of the West Coast, fighting with these civilian enlistees, scrappy guys and gals. Their training is basically, here's a DEW, when you see a bot, hit it. But somehow it's all coming together. Between us and the 6th MRB, we took down a horse at Lithium Beach. Pulled out before its buddies arrived, but to see a big one go down, I hope you made the news, honey. Showed everyone we're gonna have a shot at turning this around. We just need to give Project Zero Dawn the time it needs, that everything will be the way it used to be.
So they aren't telling people. They aren't telling people. Zero Dawn is not going to make things the way it used to be. No, it's not. No, it's not. It is absolutely not. Sorry, I gotta check down there. I thought that was a thing. It wasn't. Oh, jeez. Oh, look, there's another one of these. Okay, hold on.
I know it's been days, honey. I'm so sorry. Deployments are getting real long and tougher every time. The swarm's getting better at predicting us. Less of us now. And we have to put in 10 times the work for everyone gone. Like a family business on hard times, only... This isn't my family. It's not with you. I still try to see you. The life we had. In the eyes of the people out there. I remember when they were glad to see us. When they still had hope. It all seems to be slipping away. I don't even recognize the places we're defending. The only thing I know I'm still fighting for is... you. The Zero Dawn to turn this around. Whatever the hell that is.
Yeah. There's no hope for the present. They didn't tell them that. Because they needed them to buy time, so there could be hope for a future. If you listen to the accents, that guy sounded like he had a little bit of Jersey in him. I think that other one that I couldn't place was Boston. I always have a hard time with Boston accents. They're strong, but I don't encounter them very often. And that's a really good touch. I mean, we know that this is affecting everyone. And we heard some really strong, like, accents and cultural differences in the first bunker, but didn't really have the context. This is really driving home, like, people from all over are involved with this process. And they're trying really hard, you know, they're giving it what they've got. But that's not a lot. And to hear them go from, like, joking around a bit and being like, man, we got this. These guys are doing really well. We're gonna be able to do this.
The furnishings were metal. How'd they ever get comfortable? It was the metal world. Guess they were used to it.
It's funny that Aloy is thinking about... I love that she's observing the world. Like, I'm observing different things, but she's taking in and coming to conclusions and asking questions and all of that. You know? It's very in character for her. It's nice to have a character who's trying to figure everything out. She has different pieces, so she can come to different conclusions. Like, well, they had cushions, Aloy. It's not all metal. Although we do sit on metal chairs sometimes. Yeah, all these pieces. Oh, there's more. There's more. This is gonna get really hard. I know it. I know it is. Can I interact with you? Pharaoh. Right. Right. Now I can't mispronounce it now that I know what it's referencing. Okay, so there's another zip line to go down to the next level of lore if you don't want to investigate everything. Who do you think I am? Horizon Zero Dawn. Yes, a fabric has decayed or something. Oh, hello.
Just one bed. Maybe their war chief's room.
Like, it's really neat that she's trying to puzzle through all of this. can you tell that's a bed? I guess maybe it's... Oh. Oh, yeah, okay. So this will be... I'm curious if she's right, if this is the person in charge. Alright. Okay, so this is a notebook. So we're gonna have to take a look at that one. So I'm gonna read this one out loud. Alright, you ready for this? I'm pretty sure Corporal is the highest ranking that we've seen here. I think. So I think Aloy's correct. But we'll see. Corporal Sarai. Last night we got talking about D-Day 55. I was a kid then, only a few years out of boot camp. General assembly in a drone hangar, summer and the sky was bare, the heat was killer. They say US human combat forces are being disbanded. All automated now. We're last cycle's tech, out like the old net. 1 million more on basic, in a century recession. Could be you'll help build the robots that took your jobs. Or if you know how to handle a power suit, you could find a place that still uses manual labor. Maybe in the OEZ, or China, where you're not our problem. Low suicide risk, it said in my discharge file. And yeah, fabric would be biomass, and so I don't know that it would be decayed so much as covered over with... Because we saw the couch cushions. I'm pretty sure that I was like, how on earth are there still couch cushions, however long this has been? And I'm like, well, and I think we concluded it had been calcified or whatever the thing is. We'll find out scientifically what that is. I know we're going to get that answer. I know that Sobeck is going to explain to us on some level what it is that she's coating the planet with. But yeah, okay, so D-Day 55, not to be confused with D-Day as we in the real timeline know it, which was part of World War II. A few years out of boot camp. So this person's a career soldier. They're disbanding. So this is an older log though. The OEZ though, I wonder what that is. It's a something zone, obviously, but I don't know that we've seen. Hi, Whooper. I don't know if I've seen reference to something else that would be the OEZ. Low suicide risk. Because this reads like an old data point, like this, or like an old diary entry from back before, like when they were making the army all machines before they messed up the machine situation and everything was bad. Okay, so maybe this person wasn't, I don't know how to tell how officers are ranked, if that person was important enough to have their own room, as Aloy thinks. Oh. Alright. Alright, here's one that I guess is supposed to go before that. Let's read it. Looking back, I thought 64 was shaping up to be a pretty good year. No more drinking and no more mercenary sec work. Stripping offshore wind farms for the OEZ, just me and a plasma cutter 400 feet above sea level. Then I got the recall alert. Read them up on a turbine in the smell of cooking ozone. They covered every angle. Better pay, amnesty for any Combine wars you'd fought in, guaranteed citizenship. We should have thought, okay, what's the catch? But what we did think was, I guess we're better than the bots after all. Big talk from Jerez about pride and duty. Smart guy. He was right. I'd been proud to be a US soldier. I jumped at the chance to be one again. And look what I landed in. $64, hold on. Do we have a date here? On some of these? I'm trying to remember. Yeah, 2064. So this is, as you can see, they're being summoned and they're not being told what's going on. So presumably what happens then is Sobeck says, I have this plan and I need to buy time. And they say, okay, well, we're going to bring all of our soldiers in and try to take out the bots and do what we can and try to slow things down. And maybe there's a little bit of like, haha, we can do it. We can take them out. We can take this. It's not actually hopeless. Partly because humans have a hard time letting go of hope, and partly maybe because of a certain bit of like rah 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 American overconfidence or something. Then it turns out that things are really bad. That does kind of explain though, because we'd seen evidence of civilian soldiers elsewhere. In some of the other logs that we've seen. Sounds like there's monsters approaching here. Let's see. Alright, I'm not seeing any more data points, so it may be time to go down. Yeah. Not seeing anything, so I think... Okay, see, it's yellow here. It's yellow here. Alright, well, let's hope I didn't miss anything. Ooh. Oh, this one goes way down. This one goes way down. I think enemies are showing up. Oh wait, what's this? What was that? Oh, wait, what's this?
These wires must run to the power source.
Okay, I'm hearing enemies though. Shoot, shoot. Let's not be hasty, Aloy. Let us go. We're making some noise. That's maybe not a good idea. But I gotta take a look for everything. You know how it is. You know how it is. I'm nervous. I'm on edge. I know I'm probably gonna fight a boss. It's gonna be hard. Alright. So what can I do here? Not a lot. That is an interesting looking piece with like some knobs and stuff. The music is creepy. And the music is definitely telling me that I'm getting closer to enemies. Although I'm not sure where. Yeah, you feel that drop? That's how you know. Okay, so here's a door.
Red light. Guess that means no power.
Aloy's clever. I can hear footsteps. You can hear those footsteps too, I assume. Okay, so I can't go through there yet. So we're gonna fix power. I want to get power cells and take them to go get... I wonder if I can pick up some power cells here and then teleport back, get myself some U2 armor, and then come back here.
Whatever powered this door should be close by.
Probably not. That would be ridiculous. Don't be ridiculous, Lauren. Okay. So there's a ladder down. What else have we got going on here? These look a lot like the stuff that I was dealing with in the Mewtwo armor area.
Oh, that's informative.
Secure encryption port with holographic display. Shows required settings for nearby holo locks. Okay, so that'll tell me what I'm supposed to do with it. Okay, hold on. Can I walk across this? I don't think I can. But I'm gonna try. Just in case I can. Oh, look at that. I did. I don't know if that's what I'm supposed to do. how I'm supposed to
Holographic interface.
get over here.
There must be some kind of code. Maybe I should try scanning objects in this area.
All right, Aloy. There's a thing here, and I would like it. I don't know where it is. So I'm investigating, trying to find it. Oh, there's another one of those down there. Okay, so I am gonna have to go down there at some point. Huh. Okay. Okay. Hopefully this isn't gonna like hopefully I didn't just skip a bunch of stuff and make it so I can't get some story stuff or something. Have fun, Blues! Well, we'll see what happens. And then this one goes to that side.
3 power lines, 3 sources. That makes 1.
Okay. Alright. So I guess I do have to actually do this the right way. Well, I might fall to my death if I'm not careful is the thing. So I think I might have to go back over there and do that the way I'm supposed to. Oh, there it is. Something. There's something anyway. I don't know what it is, but there's something. Okay, fine. Don't let me do the thing that I'm probably not supposed to be able to do yet. See if I care. I'll drop to ledge. Not really sure what I'm supposed to be able to do with this. Oh, that's what I'm supposed to do. So I'm supposed to run across here and jump to that. Well, okay, look. I didn't do that. Okay? I didn't do that. Alright. Alright, Aloy. I didn't get you killed this time. Whew. There we go. There's our data point. Hello, data point. Alright. God, those things are really creepy noises.
Hey, y'all wanted to know how I remember the geotherm system reboot? Goes like this. The bird flies north in summer, east in spring, west in fall, and south in winter. Didn't expect to hear nature poetry from the lips of Mike the GT Tech now, did you? As usual, I defy expectations.
That's a good old southern accent. Hi, Joe. Welcome.
That's 2. 1 more.
That was cute. That was a little bit of a character moment with a person we'll never meet again. But it's still cute, you know? Well, welcome. We are playing Horizon Zero Dawn. We're in the Grave-Hoard, which is lots and lots of story bits going on. And a lot of atmosphere that's really creepy. And I'm not really sure what to do from here. Okay, Aloy? Do I have to brute force this? Because I'll brute force it, honey, but it might take us a little while. Consult GT Tech. Error. Oh, does this one actually gonna tell me? Data, okay, this one actually shows it, okay. So it's up, up, down, down. Left, right, left, right. Are you wandering around looking for folks playing this game? This is my first time playing this game, so I'm
Okay, that did it. Sounds like that did it.
Oh man. Geothermal power. I'm gonna not worry about how, for example, the cultists are getting around. You know? Because they can't raid these things like Aloy can. So presumably they have some other way. We just don't think about that because that is we need to have gameplay mechanics for a game to be a game. Alright, Aloy. Seal integrity maintained. Shall we do this? It would be funny if something more directly referenced the Konami code, but I actually am fairly certain that that up, up, down, down is supposed to get us to think about the Konami code. There's going to be a bad guy behind there, though. I'm pretty sure that I've got a boss fight on the horizon. Zero Dawn. I'm sorry. You know, I'm fine. Oh, I should probably make more of these, actually. There we go. How's that? The only bow that I use. Alright. What's the worst that can happen? What's the likelihood they're gonna have a thunder jaw in there that I have to fight? Okay, look, narrator way. I'm apparently in rare form tonight, with bad puns, bad jokes, silly things that I'm saying. I'm nervous about what I'm gonna find behind this door, so I'm joking. Maybe terribly joking. Alright, we're gonna do this.
Terms being used. Reverses. More close. Must be another way.
Ooh, okay, you know what that is for my Mewtwo armor. I'm very excited about that. Got my Mewtwo battery.
Yeah. Another power cell. I only need one more to get to that ancient armor I found.
See, it's very nice of the game to remind you, in case you have forgotten at this point, that that is what you're doing with those. Look, it's in a government lab being experimented on, and it's like floating there like this. Like, okay, what do you think? What do you think I'm gonna think it is? I think it made me think of Mewtwo, and that's it helps me remember what that is. Okay, so we got down there. What do we got? There's something blue. What are you? Scrapper? Okay, that's no big deal. Sure is a bunch of these guys, though. Alright. What else we got going on in here? Okay, hold on. Oh, do you have a thing that explodes on your back? I think you do. Can I set it on fire? Okay, so the heavy looks like they've got a flamethrower gun, so you should just shoot your buddy here in the back. I think that's my best idea ever. I think you've also got a thing that's gonna be on fire. What's this? Supply crate. Cool. I think that's the only robot here. Alright. So left to my own devices.
They're all right. They're not looking for answers. Just weapons.
Yep. We don't want that. Left to my own devices, I'm pretty slow and stealthy in style. Just gotta try to figure out. I think there was a guy that was coming out this way sometimes. Might be easier to pick off. Okay, so yeah, it's corrupted. Alright.
Haven't you got anything better to do?
Nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. Okay, well if anybody actually comes up here, I'll deal with them then. Okay, hold on, what have I got? You gonna come up here, buddy? Yeah, you are.
Rost always said, patience.
Cool. All right. Okay, so the robot still remembers me. At least I assume that's what that is. Sorry, folks. I probably should have taken out another guy while I was there. Nothing to see here, buddies. Alright, somebody's gonna come here though. Maybe. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Sniping them one by one is kind of my jam. Okay, somebody's gonna come up here. So I gotta be ready to drop them. Well, no.
What do you see?
Nope. Okay, they're not coming in here. That's good. Okay. Good.
Don't mind me.
So those ones are more mad. I'm not sure why those ones were more mad. But they were. Oh, I don't even think I have a rattler. But I might be able to lure a couple of them here. Like, I think he heard something. Maybe he did. Yeah, I know. I remember. I know what the shotgun is. I remember the shotgun being a thing, but... Alright, buddies. You gonna come in here? Yeah, that guy's like, huh? Huh?
That's right. No one here.
Nope. Like, I could have just killed that guy here.
I can get out of this.
Okay. That thing thinks it sees me. So I should probably actually kill its ability to sense me. Thing is, I could actually probably take these guys out better than that. Like, I probably don't need to be as cautious as I'm being here. But, like, that's what I'm doing. There's just a bunch of them, you know? And I'm being cautious. Because that's what I do. The Ursa and Olin quests are very interesting. Wait, so is this your first time playing the game? Because I don't want to, I don't want to spoil stuff for you, but it's pretty good. Okay, hold on. Maybe we should try this. Somebody thinks they're like, huh, we got a dead guy here. Huh? Huh? There's a dead guy. What could a dead guy be all about? Well, nothing to see here, friends. Unless you come here, in which case I will shoot you in the face. That's just how it goes. Ah, okay. Well, I will be doing my best to talk about the lore, but right now we are shooting some guys instead of loring. I hope that's alright. I could go in there guns a-blazing. If you think that would be fun. I think that's a robot that's running around down there. The guys are, in fact, a barrier to lore. I'm gonna tiptoe forward through the splashy splash, but I'm going really slowly through the splashy splash, so hopefully it'll be fine. Okay. What do we got here? Got some more dudes. Alright. I really should take out that scrapper. That's fine. Where are you, buddy? You're the boss, aren't you? Oh, there's stuff in the way. I can't shoot you. Darn it! Let's see. Huh. I want to take out this guy. But he's got a friend hanging out. Alright, let's see what we're gonna do here. What are we gonna do here?
Sorry to spoil your fun.
Show no mercy.
shoot, 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 shoot. Nothing to see here, guys. Nothing to see here. Nothing to see here.
You can see them. They can't see you.
Come on, Aloy, come on.
Stay sharp and shout it.
Okay, so they don't
Off you go.
think to check in here. That guy's gonna come back though, isn't he? You gonna come back up, buddy? You gonna try again? Huh? You gonna try again, buddy? No, you went back that way. Okay, cool. We're good. Oh shoot. That guy really wants to kill me. And he's elite, but he doesn't have. Yeah, exploiting AI blind spots is kind of how I do this. I feel really cheap about it. But it's what I've been doing this whole time, and I guess it's what I'm going to continue doing. If you don't mind. Do you folks mind? Too terribly? Okay. Dropped a bunch of these guys. I can just drop a few more. I really want to take out that guy because he shows up, or well, he was showing up with a boss thing, but I guess he's not. I guess I might as well do this. Snipping? Really? This is a thing. I could just blow up the scrapper, but I could set it on fire. I really want to take out one of these guys. Top of the lane chariot warbots, huh? There we go. That guy's dead. Let's see. Oh shoot.
Still sniffing around.
Okay. Shoot. Shoot. Nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. Yeah, they don't even think to check in here, fortunately, which is good. Yeah, this guy's... yeah, turning around. Nothing to see here, buddies.
Giving up.
Nothing to see here, buddies. Okay. Alright. We're gonna go back to picking them off one by one. See if I can remember how to do my controls. Alright. This guy I want to take out. And I might even be able to take out more than one guy at a time. Now that there's few enough of them, maybe nobody will see if I shoot this guy in the head from behind. Okay, there we go. Who else is there? There's that guy. No, the humans haven't even noticed. Oh my god.
Saw me. Here we go.
Okay. Oops, sorry, Aloy. Come on, come on, come on. Come on, Aloy. Okay, hold on. They might. We'll find out. Is anyone actually going to come in here? Because it doesn't seem like they can understand if their bot picks up on me. They don't seem like they're able to understand that.
Right here.
Okay. All right. Did that take care of the humans? I think it might have.
Stay out of their way for now.
All right. So then I'm going to switch to this. Oh, hold on. I should actually probably make more of these just in case I need them. All right. This guy wants to come kill me. I think he's all that's left. Oh, Okay, yeah, I think he's the only one that's left. Hi, Matt. Sorry, I'm trying to take out.
Oh boy.
Oops. Oh shoot, come on. What do you think you're doing, buddy? Get back here. Come on. Come on. Come on. There we go. Whew. Yeah, Chrono is out hanging out with Mrs. Chrono.
This will be useful later.
Oh, that's right, healing potions. I should probably use those. All right. Well, I think that's all the guys that were here. I think I did pretty okay. Did I do okay? Did I get the viewer's seal of approval despite being slow? I could have taken longer. I was a little bit. Oh, one of these guys had a little, one of those little, I don't remember what they're called. Those little, like, hidey hole things, you know? What is this? What are you? Sparker. I used effective tactics. Thank you, I appreciate your, support. Oh man. Health potions, because I actually used some of those. Hold on, there's a thing in here. We're just gonna sneak around. Doop, doop, doop. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I feel bad sometimes because I feel like my method is super, super duper, super ultra slow.
Never know when I might need these.
And maybe not the most exciting to watch. It certainly takes a while. Huh, okay, so we've got these machines. This is definitely part of the bunker. Like, this is definitely, like, ancient tech lab stuff. I don't know what it is, but it looks like ancient tech lab stuff. Yes, the typical Lauren playthrough method, indeed. Okay, so the reason why these things are prefab and they're 3D printed, which is an interesting point and a nice way of grounding it in, like, the fact that it's in the future, you know? The story horde has been, well, we've heard from a lot of soldiers realizing that they have no hope, slowly, which has been in some ways kind of a hard read, but in a good and interesting and compelling sort of way. Oh man, some stuff. We fought some guys. We fought some robots. Well, a robot, really. A lot more guys. I have some room in my resources. Looks like I'm supposed to go fling myself off a cliff up there. Let's do some more scaling the walls here. Well, I mean, but I feel like sometimes I feel like maybe there's like a bit of a difference between like if you're playing it by yourself, then you just like take forever, but if you're playing it for other people, maybe you shouldn't take forever. I don't know. I've been talking about making a cut version of my earliest Horizon Zero Dawn streams, but haven't gotten around to doing it for some reason. But I might do it. But at the very least, if you watch on YouTube, you can just skip ahead to the good stuff. Whatever you count as the good stuff. I just put the best timestamps I can. Hey, look, it's a tank inside. There's a tank inside. I think this is a tank. Is this a tank? Yeah, it is. Look, there's those like pointy arms. Hello. What's that? Thought I saw something glowy and blue through here. Sorry. Alright, well I'm happy to give the insights that I can, but or to say really dumb jokes. I'm glad to have had some of the data points actually acknowledge these tanks that we've seen scattered around for a while, because I've been noticing them and wondering about them for some time now. But I think I needed the game to recognize that they were there. Okay, so what's here? This is yellow, so it stands out. Tanks don't seem like inside toys. Okay, I could drop to the ledge, but then what? Then what would I do? There's water down there. That looks like a bad time for me. You don't want to get wet during this. Oh, I can jump across there, can't I? Hold on, we're gonna check our map. The Grave-Hoard. Okay, so that's the way to go. Alright. The question is, how do we get up there? If anyone is watching me for the first time, by the way, since there may be some of you there, welcome. I hope you enjoy your stay. If you haven't yet noticed, I'm very slow and methodical. I'd like to think slow and methodical. I think I can I make that jump? That's a big jump. That's an awfully big jump. I don't want to have to do that whole fight again. I also like to talk a whole lot about story and lore and stuff. Pretty sure if I go in that water this far north, I'm gonna die. Either that or the water's there to like make me live if I fall, which I think they've done before in one of the cauldrons. Should we try this? Shall we try this? Aloy, I'm sorry in advance, honey. Ho-ho! I should not underestimate this girl. She is a force to be reckoned with, my goodness. So I suspect we're going to find something very, very big story reveal wise here. I guess in line with the realization about what happened with the robots that we got in Pharaoh headquarters. I suspect this is where we're going to find out what Zero Dawn is. I'm pretty sure I already know what it is. Aloy does not. Sylens does not. So Aloy thinks that she is here finding how they shut down the robots, which would make sense then to get the explanation of what Zero Dawn is. Unfortunately, I don't think Zero Dawn is something that either you can repeat or would want to repeat. Let's see. Shoot! Didn't die. Somehow. Do I have to, Skyrim horsey my way back? Okay, we'll do this. Okay. Alright. We're gonna try this again. Try this again. Okay. Because I don't think I can climb up there. I have a really hard time with pathfinding in this game because I do not have... That just looks like a ledge. Those look like ledges that have yellow on them. Maybe that one. Maybe that one. Maybe not that one. Maybe this one right here. This one looks more it. Nope. Okay. Okay, so I took some damage, but I'm fine. Can I Skyrim horsey my way up? Looks like I can and will. Okay. It may not be the most graceful method, but it works. I've never even played Skyrim, but it has been explained to me that Skyrim horses jump up things like that. Oh, maybe I could have just walked. Maybe I could have just walked there like a normal person. Well, look. I like Skyrim horsing my way around. I went up the latest Banuk mountain the actual way you're supposed to, though. Oh, this doesn't feel ominous. This feels very ominous. That's plot. Nothing here. Alright. Oh! It's actual sunlight. Alright, let us go retrieve this lore in this creepy... Not a cave, though. My brain is not thinking caves. Okay, this definitely looks more inhabited. Oh, boy. Oh, no. Is this where they did Zero Dawn? Are these going to be, like, looking at the pharaoh descriptions of the different giant robot things? But this is going to be explaining how we Zero Dawned it. Oh, this is going to be bad. Nope. Edited and approved. What is this, a press release?
Thanks for the mails, you. Time goes fast on active duty. 4 months with the wreck and recalls. Fighting with these civilian enlistees. Scrappy guys and gals. That's all coming together. Between us and the 6th MRB, we took down a horse. I hope we made the news, honey. Showed everyone we're turning this around. We just need to give Project Zero Dawn the time it needs.
Okay, look, if... In case you can't in case you aren't piecing this together yet, or if you walked in late. Are you familiar with the history of military operations censoring people's letters? Usually, military operations censor people's letters to take out sensitive information. For example, something that if it got into the enemy's hands could reveal an upcoming plan or where somebody is located, and put people's lives at risk. However, what is happening here is a slight difference, where instead of censoring it so that safety can be guaranteed, which does actually make sense. You want to make sure that some, well-intentioned but naive and not very strategic young soldier doesn't accidentally compromise an entire mission and get thousands of people killed. Like, it's understandable to have that. But this isn't doing that. This is using letters for propaganda because in this case it's audio files. You can patch them together. You couldn't do that if you're like actually marking out letters. People can see that the letter's been struck through. And I know that the propaganda exists to try to buy time, to try to give the world a future. But it's still upsetting to see. And to know that these people's people don't know. So you immediately know. This is a nice way of showing also, because one of the things that's really cool about this game is that a lot of the stuff in it is very real. Very real world, could absolutely actually happen. This is a slightly different version of things that we see actually happen, but it is super plausible and probably will happen. Specifically in military uses. I mean, people do carefully edit interviews and things like that to get exactly the impression that they want to give. So, no, I have not read Catch-22. I was supposed to, but I didn't.
Ames, I know I mail you too much. I'm just proud of what you're doing. Everyone back home is. We got moved inland 10 kilometers, just as a precaution, they say. School's still in session, so I get to keep my eye on Andres and Reggie. We never know where or when you're fighting, but when the VTOLs go over, all the kids run out and wave. I believe in you. I know nothing's ever gonna be the same, but I believe in you. I believe in us.
Nothing's ever going to be the same. Meanwhile, our soldiers are talking about things going back to normal. I can't figure out what her accent is. It sounds like maybe a mixture of accents, like maybe she grew up in one area and then relocated somewhere. And I'm sorry if I seem a little bit fixated on the accents, but they tell us a lot about these people, where they're from, how people might perceive them, and really get at the very least, we've had a lot of like cross-US accents, and that's been a neat touch. But I'm wondering, that person's accent sounded like South African? Okay. Vertical takeoff and landing. Yeah, no, I wasn't sure. I wasn't familiar with that one. A lot of times when it comes to lingo like that, if I don't recognize it, I can just assume that the game made it up and it's put there to feel real. But if it's actual military lingo or something that's commonly used in science fiction, then I guess I could know it. Oh. Okay, well, I will be happy. Well, that's another reason why I've been trying to place these accents, is because I know that there are people who watch me who aren't American, for example, and so may not be as familiar with American accents. And so the variety of American accents might not mean as much to you. And I'm not an expert, but I have a decent sense for some of these, and I at least can point out when we've got our Boston person, when we've got our Southerner, who nobody takes seriously. I feel bad for that guy. Well, there was another one that was up. I guess that was up there. There's another accent near the Boston person that I could place. I don't remember where it was. No, it was in New Jersey, a little bit of New Jersey. Yeah. So it's interesting. So you've got people from very different, like those are people who are from like the same section of the country, but not the same place. And then we have people who are Southerners and other things too. I haven't heard anything today that stuck out to me as being Texan. Like that guy had a good old like Rhett Butler sounding like southern voice. I thought that guy, but I don't know. Let's see. Rejected for delivery. Let's hear. Please reply.
Ames, I don't even know if you're alive anymore. The mails I get from you, they say they're from you, but they don't sound... They sound recycled. Phrases put together, and you don't say anything about the news I pass on. The containment zone, the rebreathers, the rioting, One Earth. What happened in the Dallas bubble, Ames, that wasn't the robots. They won't even give me a straight answer when I demand to know if you're still alive. They just say if your messages keep coming, then you're still operational. It's not fair, Ames. It's not fair that you won't be with me when the lights go out. I love you.
That's so sad.
I love that even though Aloy doesn't know a lot of what's going on, she's very, very empathetic, and she's used to being an outsider in culture. But she can be moved by the very human stories that are very relatable here. The Dallas bubble, something that wasn't bots. So there's human unrest, unsurprisingly. There's problems happening, rebreathers. I'm really curious to know what is happening. And when she talks about the lights going out, it sounds like the people know, and they don't want to let the soldiers know what Zero Dawn is, because the soldiers need to keep fighting to buy time for it. So the people know that there is an end in sight, and it is not an end in sight relief, that there is the end, and it is coming. And they want to be with their families and loved ones. But the human race needs time. Like, if there's to be a future, there needs to be time for Horizon Zero Dawn to happen. Well, for Zero Dawn to happen. So then, is this an acceptable use of propaganda and human lives? Making some people suffer to buy time, to make hope for the future. They volunteered to fight, but they didn't volunteer for this, and they're being kept in the dark, you know? A lot of times when there's propaganda, you just straight up say, but this propaganda is evil. But you can understand what's at stake here and why they do this. And I don't know if I could live with myself if I were the censor making this happen, you know? But I can understand why. It's not as simple as just our soldiers got to keep fighting because we're imperialists, you know? It's much harder to rationalize, much harder to justify sacrifices to lives, to families, to happiness, if the only reason why you're doing it is because, you know, a corporation wants more money, or an empire wants more power. But when it's not even the future of the human race, but well, not the survival of the human race now, none of the people alive, but a potential future for all of planet Earth is on the line. If that's what's at stake, can you justify this if this is what it takes? Because you can't count on all of your soldiers being true believers. Or maybe you could. Maybe they should have more faith in people being willing to do something like this for a future. But I do think a lot of people would understandably not want to. I think people would understandably say, if the world is going to end anyway, I might as well be with my family. I might as well spend my last days with the ones that I love. I don't know. Maybe that makes me a bad person. Maybe that makes me a realist. But just, I think one of the things that's really interesting about speculative fiction, more than more realistic genres, is that speculative fiction can engineer a scenario in which you have to consider what you would do if pushed. What would it take for you to justify something like this? And it's easy to say, especially when you're young and you've not had to make many choices. It's easy to say, I would never, I would never, I would never, and to believe in moral purity. But life is complicated, and it gets more complicated. And I think that's a really interesting and important thing to think about. Like, they're fun thought questions. May we never have to make choices that the fate of the universe fall on, hopefully. But yeah, like, I think that this is something that's worth thinking about, rather than just thinking about a simplistic story of good versus evil, you know? And like, what do you do when there is no better choice, and the best choice that you have still sucks, but you still decide to go through with it? Like, I don't know. It's interesting. It's interesting. Let's read on. Edited and approved too.
I know it's been days, honey. I'm so sorry. Deployments are getting real long. We have to put in for work for everyone. Like a family business. I still see you in the eyes of the people out there. They were glad to see us. They still had hope. I'm still fighting for you.
Yeah, and it's funny because it's not very convincing. The first one sounded a lot more convincing. This one does not. Like, I would edit this more. Edit it to be more neutral, because something positive but fake is less effective than something neutral but less fake seeming. And I've done audio editing and trying to piece together what people say because of the way people dip in and out of sentences. Because of the way that your voice falls and your tone. Yes, this one has obvious cuts that are specifically around places that make it sound fake. I don't know. It is difficult to edit sentences and multiple things together to make them sound like one sentence that says something different. I mean, you can be lucky and have a sentence that, or a bunch of phrases or something that come together nicely, but a lot of times, there have been times where I'm like, I would love to keep this, and I never change what somebody is saying, but I'll be like, oh, if I combine the first half of that sentence, and then they kind of trail off and mumble, and then they start another sentence, and the second half of that sentence gets at what they were trying to say, and if I could put those two together, it would say what they were trying to say without their, like, meandering in the middle, which is a legitimate thing to do. But sometimes you just can't stitch them together, and you just have to decide what you're going to do with that. This, by the way, is also why a lot of interviews have what's called B-roll. If you're familiar, sorry. I've worked in marketing for a while, and I particularly specialize in storytelling with marketing. I do not do like direct marketing, like buy, sell, let us talk you into buying this thing you don't need. Like, I'm morally opposed to that. Unfortunately, I've been in a position as a marketer mostly where I don't have to worry about doing that. So my philosophy as a marketer is that the company that I'm part of makes cool stuff, and there's people out there who would be excited if they knew that stuff and it would make their life better. So my job is to find them and be like, hey, here's this thing, and let them know that this is the thing that they want, and then they get excited, and then everybody's happy, which is not creepy or manipulative or awful. But even in the process of being not creepy, manipulative, or awful, you learn a lot of techniques. And part of why I'm good at my job is because I'm pretty good at understanding people and talking to people. Yeah, no, there's a lot of unethical marketing out there. No. And I like to try to point out the manipulative tactics that people are using when I can, because you can defend yourself against that sort of thing. Like, you can develop the ability to see, because these tactics work on people for a bunch of reasons. Sometimes I'll know what they're doing and it still works on me. But if you know what they're doing and can pick it out, you're more immune to it, which is generally good for everybody. So I'll point that stuff out if I can. But yeah, so to bring this back to video editing and B-roll. So I'm sorry. This is part of why I take so long streaming this game, but whatever. This is what you're here for. Lauren talks a lot. We'll go back into the story. But B-roll is when you're like watching an interview and then it cuts to show you something that's happening that kind of illustrates what they're talking about. Like if they're talking about, like, you know, prices of milk are going up, and it cuts to like somebody, like it's like at the grocery store, and it like pans across like the milk section or something like that. That's called B-roll. A-roll, I think, is what I think is a term. Nobody really uses it, but like that's like the primary. Like you've got your talking head who's talking about a thing, but then you cut to something that maybe illustrates it. And if you watch reality TV type interview stuff, they'll cut a lot to B-roll in a lot of those things. And the reason why they're doing that is to cover up the cuts they're making in what the person is saying. Because if you see someone and they're talking like this, and then immediately it cuts to this and they're talking like this, and then immediately they go like this and they're talking like this, it's super jarring. But if you see them like this and they're talking like this, and then it like shows you some puppies in the meadow, and then when it shows them again, they're talking like this, you don't think anything of it, and you don't realize that they may have cut a bunch of different sections of what they're saying and smashed them together. Now you know. Oh, man. Anyway. I was about to say, if you want to try, it's hard to edit something well like that. You have to use tricks to pull it off sometimes that are not accessible to these sensors. And these sensors are also not necessarily doing a good job, but they may be so immersed in it and have listened to it enough times that they don't realize how inhuman it now sounds. Yeah. Anyway, now you know a little bit more, and it's B roll, like as in like A, B, C, like taking like the B path sort of thing. Yes, they may also be exhausted. Like there's a lot of reasons why they might be slipping, and why the first one is more convincing and the second one is not so convincing. All right, let's do one more of these, shall we? Rejected for delivery. Unit status report.
Status report. 9th Mechanized Response Brigade, Commanding Officer Lieutenant Fiona Morrell. Unit morale continues to be adversely impacted by outbound engagements against the Pharaoh Plague, especially when said engagements occur in sectors where civilian guard enlistees have been heavily engaged. The scope and nature of fatalities suffered by civilian guard and unarmed civilians in these sectors defy description. And witnessing it is generating a pervasive sense of hopelessness in the unit. Accordingly, I once again request that deployments of the 9th MRB be temporarily refocused on facilities that are mission critical to Project Zero Dawn. And once again, I request an immediate update on the status of Project Zero Dawn's timeline.
They're not getting anything back. You know, they're not getting support. They're not even submitting this. Like, this didn't even get sent out. Her request didn't even reach her commanding officers. There may not even be commanding officers at this point. She's desperately asking for a break. The nature of the casualties. We've heard about what the bots do. We've heard about how horrifying it is, how terrible it is. It would be better. Like, any death practically would be better than that. Like, that's unthinkable. So even, you know, even if we say it is necessary for these people to keep fighting, boy, are we feeling the consequences of that. And this would be the point in a movie where the censor would look at the other censor and say, may God have mercy on our souls. You know, we're doing the best we can. And hoping that we did the right thing and hoping that it's enough. So yeah. So just judging by that voice alone, that sounded like a she sounded like a black woman. Like, because there's like this tiny, tiny bit of southernness, but not fully southern in there in just some of the vowels. So I don't know, but she sounds like she is trying so hard to hold her people together, and she's not getting anything, any support. And I don't know how. I mean, a lieutenant doesn't seem like a very, very high-ranking position. No, to be in charge of this. Like, is this one of the last bastions of humanity fighting? We don't know. But it's pretty bad, despite the censor's best efforts. You know, you can't force hope. And when hopelessness starts to seep in, there's not much you can do. Okay, so that's a very low-ranking officer rank. I thought so, but I really don't know. Who is doing the censoring and where are they? I assume that there is some sort of military headquarters doing strategy. But like my question really is, like, who is here? Who is present? Because these soldiers that whose messages we were reading, those are folks who we saw up at the entrance to this area. Okay, so you know more about this than I do. Well, I appreciate that, because there is the only military history in my family is my grandpa was in World War II, and then one of my cousins actually served in the U.S. military, but I haven't talked to him a lot about stuff. But so there's not like family military history where you know these things. So, and I don't really read a lot of military stories, fiction, science fiction. So I will say, I will try. I have a lot of issues with the U.S. military, and I am pretty clear about my politics here. But that does not mean that I have necessarily a lot of issues with the individuals in the military. Like I said, like my cousin, who I love very much, he I guess he quit eventually. His time ran out. But the system itself is absolutely messed up and predatory, and the people in charge making decisions are doing so for largely awful reasons. And that's bad. I think anyway. But yeah. So things are really bad in 2064. Really bad in 2064. Maybe we've made it to 2065, but I don't think so. I don't think we have more than like a couple of months. This, I guess, like, is this going to be where Sobeck did her work? Or is that going to be another bunker? Because those soldiers were here defending this place in particular. They did ask to get placed somewhere to defend Zero Dawn, so... Were the scientists back in the original bunker, though? Because those are the people that it seems like, at least based on the location, might have been responsible for the cradle, the Ark, is what I'm calling it. But if somebody else presumably would be working on the calcification of everything, the elimination of organic material, I would assume those would be two different facilities, and so I think this is the facility that did that. I think that the facility that you first fall in as a child is where the cradle was developed. Use the console. Use the console, Aloy. Eat the berries. A round table with a... right in the center there. Okay, I'm gonna go raid this stuff. There's gonna be a boss behind there. I'm fairly certain of it. They're giving me all this stuff. They're like, yeah, you're going to want to have some stuff before you have a very bad time with whatever we have in store. Okay, so there's the console. Oh, there's the data point. Let's go to the data point first. Deployment records. USRC. So this is our folks that we have right now. Okay, wow, look at this. No, actually 2065. Did we make it longer than I thought we would? Wow. Okay, I'm gonna read this out loud. This is what I do when we have these text-based ones. USRC deployment records. December 2065, week 1. Confidential. Operation Kickback. Reno, Nevada. Civilian Guard and Armor Battalions skirmished... Hang on. Civilian Guard and Armor Battalions skirmished with Vanguard elements of Pacific Northwest Swarm PN-12. Engagement began at 0600 and concluded with a withdrawal at 2100 the following day. Losses in excess of 40% reported. That seems pretty, that seems pretty heavy. Operation Thick Skull. Shenandoah. Shenandoah? I'm sorry. Sometimes I don't know how to pronounce a word despite having encountered it before in my life, and I have no excuse. Valley, SA Tech, Virginia. 12th MRB, supported by Civilian Guard, fought a rear guard action against the Eastern Seaborne Swarm ES-17. Engagement began at 0800. At approximately 1400, 12th MRB reported the position was overrun and received authorization to detonate SA Tech facility, inflicting significant damage on ES-17. Surviving elements of 12th MRB withdrawn to Akron-Cleveland defensive line. Operation Body Blow. Akron, Ohio. 9th and 10th MRBs, supported by sustained aerial strikes, assaulted the Horus-class Titan resupplying the Eastern Seaboard Swarm ES-18. Engagement began at 0400 and concluded at 2200 with the elimination of the Titan. Note that this is 9th MRB's third Titan kill with minimal losses. Brigade readiness status. 3rd MRB refused recall orders from Operation Pinch Hit deployment along Pensacola, Tallahassee defensive line. Court-martial proceedings underway. 7th MRB recalled from New York engagement zone to reinforce Wichita Theater, ready. 9th MRB refitting at USRC facilities, ready. 10th MRB transferred from Kalmar, data corrupted. So the 3rd Brigade has refused to recall from Pensacola, Tallahassee, so they're in Florida. Some of them are being recalled from New York to defend Wichita. I guess, maybe, well no, wait. Okay, I'm trying to remember. Colorado, Oklahoma, Kansas is in that vicinity somewhere. Is Kansas to the west of Oklahoma or Colorado? Is Kansas in that vicinity? Kansas is on top of Oklahoma. Okay. Okay, thank you. Because I'm trying to figure out, because we know that our map has Colorado. And I'm just trying to figure out where exactly the Nora themselves are. Where that central facility is, the cradle is. What I'm trying to figure out here is they're withdrawing these people and pulling them inland. And I'm trying to figure out if this is them pulling into like specific areas. Colorado is immediately to the west of Kansas. Kansas is on top of Oklahoma. Okay. So Wichita is not going to be in our Horizon Zero Dawn map. Thank you. Yeah, so I know Oklahoma because I'm from Texas. But once you go a little bit farther north, I'm just like, I know roughly what states are there, but I don't know them all. I'm from Dallas. I grew up in Dallas, DFW. So I'm familiar with the frying pan of Oklahoma. But, look, we both have panhandles, alright? Oh, man. So for anyone here who is not from the US, I'm just trying to make sense. So Pensacola, Tallahassee, that's in Florida, which is like southern coast of the US on the East Coast. New York is north coastal East Coast. So it feels kind of like they're pulling in from there. And then I'm trying to remember the California I don't know. That probably just means like ocean in California. West Coast is beginning to pull in as well. So the 9th MRB is like this. Note that the 9th MRB's third Titan kill with minimal losses. The 9th MRB, those are the folks that we're hearing. Those are the folks we're hearing from. Those are the folks that we're reading. Reading their mail, listening to their mail. California Maritime, yes, I think that's what it was. But yeah, so our folks that we're listening to are kind of the big badasses. I wonder if, because there are so many civilians, if having any sort of officer training whatsoever, even if you're just a lieutenant, still gives you an edge over the civilians who don't have that much training. Yeah, so... Well, and the lieutenant that we heard that was begging for her people to be put on mission critical things instead of civilian places because the civilian losses, that's just too much for their morale. She's talking about the 9th, this is the 9th. So maybe we're going to see how the 9th has been taking out these Titans. And maybe that will be what Aloy's looking for rather than an answer to what Zero Dawn is, which is what I guessed we were going to find here. We'll find out, because it's right there. It's going to be right here. We're going to see something. The thing is, Zero Dawn is something that is an international thing. I believe that she had to show stuff to the UN. Was it the UN? No, who was it that she was going to be talking to? Because she said she was basically on a plane to go show stuff to some sort of a panel of people when Sobeck did. Was it the USRC that she said she was going to show stuff to? Yeah, so here's our... Director Evans. That's a name to look out for. That's not that. What am I looking for? Was it a glyph? Did it count as a glyph? No, the glyphs are all modern times. Hey, Kay! Was it an audio log? Hold on. Hologram data points, that's what it was. Okay. All right. Speaking to you from VTOL en route to US Robot Command. You're right. Yes. So she said, in 15 minutes I meet with General Harris. Oh, Harris. They mentioned that's a name, Joint Chief. That's a name that we saw in one of these. Okay. Hold on. Sorry. somebody here. Sorry. Same play as Akron. Okay, so this is they'd hold on. Okay, Lieutenant. It got through tightness through their defenses, still on approach. It's interesting to look through this now that we know who these people are a little bit. We hold the hatch at all costs. It's through the hatch. Yeah. There's something really sad. And okay, this is the lieutenant. Remember when we said that's a good kind of boss? The kind of boss that that's like, just remember you're not supposed to play games. Anyway, have fun with your games. That's this lieutenant, Lieutenant Morel. Here's some. So this is somebody who's from the 9th talking about some of their previous battles. Yeah. Okay, so it's a text data point then. So that's what we just got. Who is this? Doesn't say. Oh no, it does. That's Sarai. Okay. Okay. Okay, yeah. Big talk from Jerez about pride and duty. Smart guy. Okay, so he was going around trying to talk people into signing back up. Okay. You think he was mentioned in the first bunker and the Mewtwo one? Okay, hold on. We're gonna, sorry. We're doing this. Okay, so here is Director Evans. The Wichita salient has collapsed. Okay, so Wichita was something that came up. Because this is our very first set of, like, our very first bunker area. Director Evans. Okay, yeah, the Wichita salient has collapsed and our position will be overrun in less than 24 hours. Now I know what they're fighting. It's interesting after so long, you know, wondering. Alright, here we go. So this is the Mewtwo armor. Yes, that's what I'm calling this. I think I mentioned that earlier this stream. Okay, General Jerez. Fast, cheap, and good. That's what we're going to deliver. May God be with you and Jane in these dark times. Now I know what these dark times are. Yeah. Okay. Alright, so General Jerez is out there trying to find things that they could possibly do. Okay, that's interesting. Alright. Shall we activate this Holo projector? And see what they're going to give us, if it is actually going to be the explanation of Zero Dawn. If this is USRC headquarters, which I think it might be, because the 9th was, they were resupplying. They were at USRC HQ. So maybe they did get pulled back. Maybe it didn't get sent out, but they did get pulled back here, because this, I guess, is the USRC place. So maybe they did get pulled back as they requested. And this is presumably where Sobeck went to explain Zero Dawn. And so that would make this the place that we will see Sobeck explaining Zero Dawn. So this is not the place where they worked on Zero Dawn. So I guess maybe Zero Dawn was these other facilities. But here we'll get the explanation, if not the working on it, because this is the military headquarters. All right, let's do it.
That? It's a map.
A map of what?
Our world. The planet Earth, Aloy. It's not flat like you thought.
Why would I think that? During eclipses, the shadow cast on the moon is curved. So our world is a globe. And it looks like this, from a distance.
We'll discuss this another time.
She
Back to
flustered
the
him.
matter at hand.
Oh my god.
The Faro robots were spreading across the world, eating everything up. Somehow, Elizabet stopped them before it was too late. But how?
Oh my god, okay, that was amazing. Because Sylens is all like, I'm gonna show you up, you ignorant little Nora. And she's just like, why would I think that? That's stupid. I have observed things by looking at the natural world. And I'm just like, holy crap, Aloy. She does. But they've established that Aloy is extraordinarily observant and thoughtful and good at piecing things together. And also she has her, oh my god. What's it called again? I blanked on the name again. I was actually remembering it for a while. But because she has that, and that helps her learn information as well, and she's able to, her focus, thank you. And she's able to process what she learns from the focus and make some sense. She can parse it the best she can. But it's such a neat thing. Like, it's so cool that they have a reason why your character can figure, like, why, like, man. Okay, so I'm just trying to get a sense for things. Like, these must be the swarms. There's a lot of them. They're kind of all over the place. Guess I'm assuming those are the swarms marked. Yeah, and I just love how flustered he is. And he's like, well, we'll talk about this later. It's not even like it's important or anything. And I'm like, whatever. You're gonna gloat at her. And then she just puts you in your place. That's very satisfying. Oh, I'm sure that people have picked up on these things. There's ways for them to pick up on these things. You know? For all that Western civilization likes to think that it's the only people who have noticed or thought about anything. The entire world has been thinking big, thoughtful, intelligent thoughts and picking up on things and being observant for a very long time. Huh. Well, I don't know if that was a console or if that's just one hell of a stalactite, but it makes sense that these things are the way they are. They're all 3D printed. Another data point in here? Oh, you mean in the main room? I saw a data point, but only the one. The deployment records. Yeah, that's one that we had looked at. Where we see that our, that the 9th. Yeah, no, I did think round table. Which is interesting, actually. That does say something. If this is the, like, if this is a group of people that came together to fight the robots, so to speak, there is actually something symbolic. Like, the thing about the round table is that it is symbolic. The symbolism of the round table is that no one person is over the others. Nobody can sit at the head of the table. Oh yeah, so in case you're noticing that the shape of the continents is not what you're accustomed to, remember that a lot of things were literally underwater. And they've done some reclaiming of land, but not perhaps as much as we might wish. And so... Oh, you see the red spreading over it? Do you see the red spreading over it? That seems to be a thing that was happening. Like, here it goes back to normal. It stops. Hold on. Because it looks like the red is spreading from... Because see, it spins and it spins and it spins. But I feel like there was... Yeah, see, the red starts up there and it starts spreading. Yeah. Okay. So it did not hit the world everywhere. Okay. Yeah, I'm pretty sure, hold on, sorry, we're gonna go and look at some... We're gonna keep going with the story, but we're just gonna dig stuff up a bit. Where is... Where is this? Pulau Witar in the Banda Sea. Where is this? By the way, if you had forgotten why it would be so traumatic to witness these robots destroying civilians, this is, by the way, the data point that explains what the what the robots do. So in Indonesia, okay, that is the first instance, the first incident that is reported of the robots attacking, like that. The first robots have now eaten things, and we saw it happen. Now I wonder though, are the robots going for people or eating everything? Are there any other rooms we can go into? No. Okay. Here's potentially one. I've got to explore everywhere. I want every little bit of data they've got to give me. They can't put something in every room, I suppose. That's greedy of me. Alright, gonna get some medicinal gray omen. Alright, so it's gonna be a boss fight through there. Hi, Baltimore GSO. Hey, friends. Hey, I think we're going to have a terrible boss fight coming up. Welcome, welcome, and hello. Okay, well, before we go through this door that potentially could be a boss fight, well, welcome. I'm Lauren the Flute. I'm playing Horizon Zero Dawn right now. I assume that if you're following the GSO that you are fans, well, the Baltimore GSO, that you are fans of video game music. I do, in fact, play video game music on my flute. That's where the flute in my name comes from. And I sing. Oh, excellent. Oh, yay, other flute players who love Horizon Zero Dawn. Well, this is my first time playing Horizon Zero Dawn. So you know where I am then. There's a lot of story going on. If this doesn't look familiar to you and you want to play Horizon Zero Dawn, or you're playing through it and you haven't gotten here yet, now is not the time because there will be big spoilers. If, on the other hand, you do know Horizon Zero Dawn, welcome. I don't know if we're about to fight a boss or discover the ultimate lore boss of the story, because this is a very good story-based game that also involves a lot of shooting things with my bow and maybe hitting them with a stick. I'm really enjoying this game. I will warn you, I'm very slow because I like to talk about things. We had a big long talk about propaganda and video editing earlier today, and then we've been kind of trying to piece together what exactly is going on with the USRC. It's very exciting stuff, though. It's a very good game. I love... somehow I came to this game with the ability to headshot sniping people, which I don't know how I gained that skill, but I did, so it's been very exciting. And yes, you know, if you played flute for 6 months, I think we can make you an honorary flute player. I'm a vocalist flute player, so I feel like as though I'm now dubbing you, yes, an honorary flute. It's fun actually being the flute player, especially because I play flute in a rock metal band. Every woodwind ever will come up to talk to me, and even if it's like I played clarinet for a year in middle school 20 years ago, they'll still come up and tell me because it's like woodwind solidarity. It's fun. Yes, I've played Secret of Mana, and I've played a lot of Secret of Mana music on my flute. If you look on my YouTube channel, I have a playlist somewhere of that. Including the Mana Fortress theme, which Kikuta was surprised could be played. I think being a flute player makes you a pretty cool person, but I'm also biased. I actually have my flute. I can't play it right now because it's 9:13 p.m. and my neighbors would kill me, but I do have it. Yes, I have mirrored my camera so that it doesn't drive me crazy. This is because when I was beating Final Fantasy VI over the weekend, and I wanted to be able to play flute because that's my favorite game. But yeah, I do video game covers of stuff on my own. I have my band, The Returners, in Texas, even though I'm in Canada, so that's fun. And I'm gonna be looking into maybe making another band or so. So I'll be seeing how that goes in the next little while. So yeah, so stick around if you like the thought of hanging out and talking about story and lore and video games and music. Usually this game has beautiful music, but it's a lot more atmospheric than like the melody driven stuff that we hear in, say, oh my god, Hades is my undoing because it has so much guitar. I love guitar. But it's beautiful. I do love the use of low strings though. It's very nice. So yeah, if you wanna hang out with us, please pull up a chair. For anyone else who's joining me for the first time, sorry, I hope that was that's my introduction. I don't introduce myself all the time, but if folks are raiding and there's like a few folks who might not know who I am, I'll fill you in. I also write fanfic about Final Fantasy VI and now Hades and stuff too. So I do a lot of things. I even have a podcast or a podfic version of one of those that has got some music and acting, and I need to slowly work through it. So I just do a lot of stuff. But one of the things that I do is streaming. Mostly games these days. Sometimes I do music streams. Maybe I'll put together another Halloween concert if folks would be interested in that, and if I can put together some musicians who'd be interested. And I haven't done a cooking stream in a long time, but I will at some point. I don't know about a jack of all creativity, but I do a lot. I am so afraid I'm gonna have to fight a boss. I should make more sharp shot arrows because they're the best. Alright, let's open this door. Let's see what this is. I saw Xenoblade Chronicles 3 a little bit. I watched my sister play some of it. I was excited that there were flutes, but I had a really hard time getting into the game. So I play Final Fantasy 14 for the story, but the MMO-ness of it, like of like the flatness of the like location and like what feels almost like randomly generated characters and stuff, just like giving you quests and stuff. I'm not really into that. So I don't know. Maybe I'll give it a try. But I don't know. There's so many other games I know for a fact that I want to play. Like, we're about to wrap up Hades, and then I'm going to play some small games, and then I'm going to play Disco Elysium, which I'm very excited about because everybody loves it. All right, I'm going to continue going through the Grave-Hoard and investigating stuff in this game. If you want to keep talking about other video games, though, like, please feel free. Pull up a chair and join us. I'm just dying to know what happens next. Oh, that's a metal devil. Are the legs part of those? The feet that they'd cut off in the intro. Not the intro, the opening.
Tampering with a metal devil. They don't think they can wake it, do they?
Watch out!
No, 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 no.
Another Kopish. And this one can move.
Oh, this is... I told you there was gonna be a boss fight. Oh my god. It's a deathbringer, also known as an bringer. Anybody remember why we started calling that? Because I sure do not. Oh god, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. It didn't kill those guys. How does it not think they're enemies? Let's refresh, shall we? I think it might have been when I was trying to guess what these various things were, looking at their, Oh no, I wasn't even looking at them. It was we saw a list of names of enemies or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, I've seen a bunch of these. These guys are cool. Oh, it's the behemoth! That's my roommate and I were talking about things and we were trying to remember what that was. Yeah. That's the one that's actually a rhino, but I thought it was a moose, I think. Anyway, so the Deathbringer is at the end, and the first one that you encounter is incapacitated. So it doesn't walk around, but it shoots at you. And that was scary enough. Because they like to introduce these new scary things to you in a smaller, less scary and intense way. But I knew that at some point they would give me one that was walking. Alright. So it has the body, which is big and scary. It is weak to fire and to shock. Oh, that's right, you want it to overheat. The repeater cannon, I think I want to hit it with some terror blasts. Cooling rods. Yes, you want it to overheat and then you shoot those and they blow up. Core, when it overheats, you want to shoot that and it blows up. Flamethrower, you don't want it to set you on fire, you want you to set it on fire. Grenade launcher. My life might be easier if I had grenades. Heat vents. Okay, yeah, so all this stuff opens up when it overheats and then you blow it up. Gun turret is bad. Swarm launcher? Don't think I want that to happen. Could make it fall on its side, that's good. Heavy cannon turret. Okay. So there's override, impossible, just so you know. It cannot be overridden. Maybe there'll be some big plot thing where you override one, but they don't want you to be trying to override it or think you're going to. Yes, they set a garbage patch on fire. The ocean was on fire and it did some damage to these and made it easier to take it down. Which is also part of gameplay. It's cool when gameplay elements actually are tied to like world stuff. Well, I think I'm gonna die, folks. I think I'm gonna die. Maybe we should just do one dying just to see what happens, and then try strategizing. Fire and shock. Weakness all. Tear all. So fire and shock. What have I got? Shock bomb, freeze bomb, fire bomb, bomb. I'm sorry. Shock is good. All right. So there's those little guys, but I feel like I shouldn't worry so much about them. Alright, yes, Deathbringer. Strong against confusion. So, I just have to point out, they basically cut this out of its womb. Okay, hold on. Okay, no. What are the things that I want to get rid of first? No bot from woman porn. Alright. So of here, okay, so repeater cannon like sucks, but like a lot of things have those. Granted, I almost always cut those off before they get a chance to use them, but still. I think I probably want to take the swarm launcher off first. I don't know. Oh, heavy cannon turret might, oh, I don't know. Okay, hold on. That's the gun turret. That's a flamethrower. Okay, hold on. Wait, hold on. Yeah, we got the tear blast.
Got their attention.
Oh, shoot. Oh my god, it's gonna shoot my... I have to take as much off of it as I can while I'm up here before it destroys the things that I'm on. That's not working. Shoot. Shoot. No, not that. Shoot! Well, there we go. Lesson learned. I don't think I'm knocking things off. I don't think my Terror Blast... There's only one thing I think was weak to tear. Okay. We should have a death counter, perhaps, for this. All right. Fortunately, it's not that far back. I don't know if they'll make me watch the cutscene of Aloy reacting to it, or if the fight will just start. Okay. Yes, we will restock. I might try this. You know what made the game easier? You know what made the game easier, this fight easier last time? This is only a regular ropecaster. It's not even a special ropecaster. No, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. All right. Only one thing in there. Yes. Resume. Can I skip this? No. No. Is there a way to skip? Oh, there is a skip button. Okay.
Another Kopish. And this one can move.
Okay, hold on. I forgot to double check. What is the one thing? Only one thing here. Only one thing here was weak to Terror Blast. The gun turret. That's the only thing that's weak to tear. Okay. Well, I might as well. Is that your gun turret? Yeah. Shoot! Okay, well, there goes that idea. Okay. I guess I have to rappel down. Okay.
Is rewarded with oblivion.
Alright, this is gonna take us a few tries. I'm sorry, folks. Okay. But I do think I should take off the turret. I think I took the turret off. I don't know for sure if I took the turret off. Either way, I should set it on fire. I'm gonna have trouble. I'm gonna have trouble. Alright. I knew there was a boss coming. I knew there was a boss coming. Okay. Yes, we're gonna make this. We're gonna do this. Oops, that's the wrong one. Darn it. Sorry, my camera's in the way. Couldn't see what I was doing. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's all good. Yeah, well, you can rappel down. I just need to see how much damage I can do to it before I rappel.
Another Kopish. And this one can move. Shoot, here we go, here we go. Here's the thing to rappel down. Rappel down. I'm gonna die.
Can't reach her.
Oh shoot, maybe I should have picked off the little dudes first. Oh geez, I didn't realize there was a dude up here. Phew. Okay. Hold on. Okay. Shoot. Okay, hold on. Oh, shoot! Oops. Hold on. Oh, shoot. Oh, shoot. Oh, jeez. Oh, shoot! Oh, shoot! Oh god. Hold on. Oh shoot. Oops. Okay. Oh shoot. Oh shoot! Oh jeez. Oh shoot! shoot, 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 shoot. Oh my god, nope. That's bad news, that's bad news, that's bad news. Shoot! Shoot, shoot, shoot. Oh my god. Whoo!
So the soldiers let go. I had to fight hundreds of those all at once.
Okay. Whew. Okay, sorry, I don't look at chat when I'm doing scary things like that. Alright, so it is possible to take these guys out. And if you had better weaponry. Search the war room, huh? Alright, so I get to get a deathbringer heart. Oh my goodness. Oh, you know, I forgot to change my clothes too. I forgot to change out of my stealth clothes into my don't kill me clothes. Whoops. I need to remember to do that more often. I think I did pretty well, honestly. Like, I died twice, not like kind of taking in the lay of the land, I suppose. But I did okay. The thing is that these things actually take substantial amounts of damage if you follow the strategy that you're supposed to and you overheat them. You know? What's this? Oh, I accidentally threw a rock. Yeah, I kind of went through my inventory a bunch. Whoops. Look, I have a hard time with controls. That maybe you may see what I mean by that. I'm sitting here like, which button does what? Whew. Yes, they give you some blaze in case you need it to build more fire arrows. I don't think I stacked my fire arrows. I think I probably should have built a bunch of fire arrows before I went out there. Then I probably wouldn't have run out as much. Or maybe I was full. I don't know. I'm pretty proud of that though. Not gonna lie. I didn't think I thought that was gonna go a lot worse, but when I realized that it was actually taking a lot of damage, I know I missed some opportunities. I missed some opportunities because I wasn't sure exactly when it was overheated. But I feel like, yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay, sorry. I'm very excited about that. Oh! Was there an opportunity for climbing up? No, that looks like that's progression. Or maybe they actually, oh, I guess they had the high ground, didn't they? I guess I could have gotten some high ground too if I'd wanted to. If I'd really wanted to. I noticed that in another fight where there was the possibility of getting some high ground that I didn't see. Oh well. Yeah. Well, the thing is, I could tell sometimes that it was overheated. But there were times that it was overheated and I was busy freaking out and hadn't realized that I had overheated it because the fire builds up not just when you shoot it, but also over time after you shoot it. So even if you shoot it with more fire arrows and it doesn't quite hit on fire, it can still tick up to on fire on its own, and that's something I didn't realize. And so there were some chances that sometimes it had its stuff sticking out, and I didn't realize. Like I think there at the end too. Man, look at the carnage here. It's pretty dramatic. All right, let's actually progress things. My God, though. Okay, so this is like a manufacturing facility? No, that thing got in here and got stopped. All right, well, let us progress the plot. Unless there's other stuff. But I don't... Oh god, I want a grappling hook so bad. I just really want a grappling hook. I really like hook shots. A lot. Alright. I don't think there's anything else. I think literally all we can do is go through here. So let's do that. Shall we? Hope for the best. Is this back where I came? No. No. You hear the heartbeat starting. And the music. Something very big is about to be revealed. Presumably what Zero Dawn is, if you haven't pieced it together yet. Oh, I did come from a higher level, didn't I? That's where I'm supposed to go. Oh, what? You're not giving me random miscellaneous other little things here? I gotta look first. Okay. So this is USRC headquarters. I think we're gonna see Elizabet explain what Zero Dawn is, and I think it's going to be the calcification or some equivalent of the world. Covering up all organic matter with a substance that can't be consumed, even if it means the death of everything on Earth. And then after a period of time, the planet will be rebuilt with the Ark, launching out the metal flowers to plant plants. I'm not exactly sure how the animals come back, but it feels like there's only a finite number of kinds of animals in the world, so I read a book when I was a kid which had people basically there was like an arc and then humanity came forth afterwards in a very similar sort of situation, and so they had certain animals and certain plants. Dark Puck has redeemed hydrate, posture check, and stretch, so I'm going to drink some water. You should too. Hold on. Posture check is good because I have actually been slouching in my chair. And then stretch, arms over the head, everybody. Yes, so just so to refresh, I think that the animals, maybe the animals emerged from, in some way, the mechanical, like the machine animals, and so the machine animals are there to watch over things, but there's this system in place, and there's the, as we've discovered last stream, there's, what's it called? The satellites that are beaming down to the tall necks. Peace. Keep the peace. Presumably man-made. Possibly not. Because there is a rogue AI that's unaccounted for, and I'm very curious how that's going to fit, because there's so much mess without it that I'm very curious how it's going to fit into things. So Zero Dawn kills everything, but then in the future things come back. That's my prediction, since I think we're going to confirm or deny it at this point. All right, let's go for it. Biosphere degradation. Oh, that doesn't sound good. Oops, that's the wrong button. Sorry. Oh, okay, so that was one of these here. No, that's the wrong button. Oh, that's the right button. The AI that we know about, I'll have to go double check which one it is. But it went rogue. It ran away. All right, let's take a look at this. Okay, so biosphere degradation. Are those the biospheres that humans are living in? Because they did talk about the Dallas bubble, which would indicate that there are bubbles that people are living in. Perhaps things that would theoretically potentially keep them safe from bots who can't get in. All right. Oh geez. Text data points quest biosphere degradation report. Biosphere degradation August 2065 confidential. Oh dear. Chief findings. Despite increased tactical proficiency of elite and civilian guard units and many hard-won engagements in the Central European, Antarctic, and Pacific Reach theaters, the Pharaoh Plague's rate of advance has not slowed, nor has its biomass consumption rate. Damage to the Biosphere has already exceeded 2038 levels by every measure and grows worse by the day. Extinction timeline projections remain unchanged, with OAC predicted for mid-November 2065, annihilation of exposed human populations in February 2066, extinction of macrobiotic land organisms by the end of March 2066, and extinction of marine life in early 2068. Continued secrecy re Project Zero Dawn, the utter silence regarding its mechanisms of action and completion date make it impossible to predict Zero Dawn's impact or lack of impact on the extinction timeline. Atmospheric collapse. Atmospheric oxygen depletion and toxic emissions remain the greatest environmental threat to Operation Enduring Victory, as well as the wider civilian population and animal life. Operational atmospheric collapse, OAC, is currently predicted for mid-November 2065, after which military personnel will require rebreathing apparatuses to operate in the open, and civilians will only be able to survive inside sealed structures. The requirements for air scrubbing and recycling in facilities is addressed in Addendum A linked to this report. Potable water shortages. Potable? Major water treatment facilities are already struggling to process water sources compromised by rainfall heavily contaminated by toxins emitted by the consumption of the Eastern Hemisphere. Following the necessary shutdown of all nano-scrubbing functionality, wastewater recycling is already beyond capacity. Military response escalation. Addenda linked to this document cover the short-term effects of scorched earth engagements in defense of the western seaboard and the ongoing effects of the Oceanic Economic Zone's use of nuclear weapons to delay the enemy's initial advance across the Pacific Theater. Data corrupted. Okay, so here we go. Here is OAC. Explanation for what the OEZ is, the Oceanic Economic Zone. Okay, so what's interesting about this is that humanity wrecked the planet and then managed to crawl back from that and actually improve the state of the planet to limited success, maybe. Because I don't think that they say that everything is as good as it was, but they're able to repair a lot of the damage that's been done. And then so much of that damage gets undone, not directly by humans, but as a result of the planet being consumed. So the consumption of the Eastern Hemisphere. So that indicates that it is moving from that side of the globe. It's interesting that that's the side of the world that it starts on. Military response escalation. So they're basically the entire planet will be extinct by 2068 if we don't do this. So in a way, the scorched earth idea of Zero Dawn, which is what I think, if it is what I think it is, it's we're going to go extinct either way. Here's a thing we can do to preserve our atmosphere and preserve something, and then give our planet another chance, and our species, every species, another chance. Of exposed human populations. So it is possible that somewhere on this planet there are the descendants of an ancient civilization that managed to keep their dome operational, maybe. I don't know. If they want to pull another twist on us, that's something they could do. But it's been such a very long time that the likelihood of that is pretty low. It's interesting that it's a Pharaoh plague. Plagues, see. Many hard-won engagements in the Central European, Antarctic, and Pacific Reach theaters. So we're getting better at fighting them, but they're still attacking us and eating everything. Yeah. And they're like, please let us know what's going to happen with Zero Dawn. So even the people, like, clearly Zero Dawn is held in the utmost of secrecy. That they can't guess. So this is August 2065. So we know that they summon in their soldiers at some point in 2064. And they fight until the end of December 2065. We know that they're still alive. So they're saying that the operational atmospheric collapse is predicted for November 2065. December 2065 is the latest date that we have news from. So if that did in fact happen, that everyone is having to use rebreathers, that is really interesting. Yeah. The New Year's celebration in the prologue bunker. Yeah, because it's the new year. And that's when they all choose their end. So that's about as far as they make it. So that would be January 1st, 2066, most likely. I think. Right? Yeah, so this doesn't have the year, but some of the other data points did. It's so cute and sweet and sad. That's the first thing that you find. Okay, no, where are they? Here we go. Record our thoughts for posterity. Things that we wish we had done. Everyone's praying. Your ghoulish touch. Watching the clock tick down to midnight. Yeah. So it's midnight. Flash traffic from USRC. Black quartz encryption. I've routed the message to your holo grid from viewing. Now we know who USRC is. Yes, Ella is our first southern lesbian. Very important. Ted Farrow. Okay, no. There were more. It must have been... I thought there were... No? No? What am I thinking of? I thought there were more data points. Full stop. No. For Director Evans. We don't see what Director Evans gets. Do we? Hold on. Sorry, I'm looking through these. Good Nexus reminder. No, but I feel like they're... Okay, so there's this one right here. Okay, yeah, so nothing else. All the rest of this is from Pharaoh HQ and then this place. Okay. Journal. Yeah. No, I don't know then. Okay. Well, that's what we've got. Either way, things are really, really bad. We know about rebreathers. We know about the bubble. We know that bad news is happening, that humans are actually becoming their own worst enemies when they say that wasn't robots that took out the Dallas bubble. Once again, humanity. But also, can you blame people for being distrustful and paranoid and panicked and everything, given what's going on around them and the like empty promises from their perspective? We're working on something, we can't tell you what it is. But it's clearly what has preserved everything here for so long. It's this stuff. Because even the atmosphere is getting destroyed. You know? There's got to be a point after which there's no coming back. SecureCom. Data corruption minimal. EVZD. So that's 2019. I don't know. I probably shouldn't try to make sense of the date there. EVZD, I don't know what that is.
Dr. Sobeck, as projected, the Wichita salient has collapsed. 5 Horus-class Titans have broken through. We predict contact in 34 hours.
Everything is in position, General. It took a few shortcuts to pull everything together, but Zero Dawn is functionally complete. Good to go.
That enduring victory served its purpose after all.
Yes, if we'd had even one day less.
I've sent you an encoded file, Doctor. Please do me the favor of archiving it.
I'll see what I can do. What is it?
A brief statement. An allocution of crimes, I guess you'd call it.
To what are you admitting guilt?
Over the past 16 months, Doctor, I have presided over the greatest wholesale slaughter of military personnel and civilians in the history of history. Genghis Khan, Hitler, Stalin, Sorabella, add them all together. They don't even come close.
You didn't do the killing, General.
No, not directly. But I didn't wind up the highest-ranked military commander in the United States by resisting the automation of the armed forces. Even before the swarm, Doctor, I was helping death along. So, instead of letting what I've done sink into the murk, forgotten, I sent a file with all the details. Let posterity judge my actions with clear vision.
I'll do as you ask, General. But you should consider that were it not for your actions, our actions, there wouldn't be any posterity to judge us.
Perhaps. Dr. Sobeck,
At ease, General. And goodbye.
hell of a thing.
So the worst of humanity, the best of humanity, good sides of humanity, complex, complicated people. Again, what are you willing to do in desperate enough circumstances? What actions can be excused if enough is at stake? And the thing that I respect him the most for is for recognizing his culpability in leading up to the situation with the swarms in the first place. Maybe as one man, he couldn't have stopped the push for automated war. And, you know, maybe he was even motivated by thinking, if we do this, fewer people will die. And that's a wonderful thing. But to say, I would like for all of posterity to know what has been done. I mean, maybe there's a little bit of ego in there, of not wanting to be forgotten, you know, being remembered as somebody terrible and despicable, maybe in some ways could be better than being remembered or being forgotten for all time. But I think, honestly, this seems like a man who feels that he deserves to be judged for his crimes. And I do think that is, I mean, I don't know that he has always been somebody who considers what he does crimes, you know, but he has certainly come around. And then here, of course, is a figure dying, dead. It's interesting how Elizabet tries to reassure him. Then you kind of wonder how much of that is her reassuring herself. It is very interesting hearing Aloy's voice, in case you, because I don't know how much the actor is trying to make it sound like a different version of her. But yeah, definitely interesting. One day less, and they wouldn't have been able to do it. Awfully close. Cutting it awfully close. Shall we? Let's do it. I think this is gonna get some answers.
Thank you, Dr. Sobeck. You can take a seat.
What? You're going to thank her after what she just said?
Dr. Sobeck has made the situation very clear, General, and given us an option. We should all be thanking her.
Oh, it's just... I mean, my God.
Maybe take this discussion offline.
There's not going to be any discussion. You saw the numbers. Now, Pharaoh, he'll foot the bill, but his money can't buy the time necessary to complete Zero Dawn. That can only be paid for in blood.
Oh, come on. If we upgrade our fleet, crack the code somehow...
Were you not listening? Robots can't do the fighting for you this time. When it comes to hacking, this rogue swarm is an apex predator. Anything automated you throw at it, they will hijack and take over.
But this... we'd be throwing civilians into a meat grinder.
Commanders, the enemy we're facing self-replicates faster than we can kill it. And it eats biomass as fuel. Zero Dawn is all we've got.
So we put a railgun in the hand of every civilian strong enough to carry one, show them where the trigger is, and point them to the front? How the hell do we sell that?
By giving them something to fight for. Zero Dawn. The top-secret super-weapons program that will save us. So long as humanity holds off the swarm long enough for Dr. Sobeck and her team to finish it. The file I'm sending contains the war plan for Operation Enduring Victory.
War plan? This is a war crime.
It may be ugly, but it's something. Consider the alternative. Dr. Sobeck, I've secured use of a decommissioned orbital launch base outside Bryce, Utah as the Zero Dawn staging area. Plenty of space there. When can you get started?
I've already mailed you a list of alpha and beta candidates. Most are foreign nationals or subjects of corporate holdings, so extracting them...
Leave that to me. You'll get your dream team. Count on it.
Then I'll be off. Orbital launch base. What is that? What did these people do? What did Elizabet do?
Yeah. Aloy is getting the sense that something terrible has happened, and I wonder if she's going to have the context to understand why. I've got to say, and I've talked, I have a lot of issues with military, like, orders and the system and all sorts of things like that. Oh, Tara! Hi, Tara! Sorry, I'm just... We're in really big story mode in this game right now. Like, this is very, very big plot reveals, so I'm not keeping up with chat as much as I should. But thank you for the raid, Tara. Everybody, if you don't already follow Tara, you should. She's a fantastic musician and a fantastic person, so you should definitely drop her a line, drop her a follow, and keep up with what she's up to. But enjoy your dinner, and thank you so much for the raid. Yeah, so for all that I'm super cynical about the military, and the people at the top of things like the military, I appreciate that here is a table full of people who are appalled at the idea of civilians fighting because they are morally opposed to it, because it is a war crime to send civilians into certain death. Call me cynical, but I feel like there are people who would not sit at a table like this who would not have that reaction. That would not be their objection. And maybe that's more corporations than military, because I don't have a lot of experience with military leadership. I just kind of see what happens, and I have a lot of cynicism about politicians. So maybe politicians would make terrible choices and military leaders would object to it. I'm not exactly sure. But I do like that as terrible as this is, as terrible as what happens is, the people who make those decisions, the people who sit around the table and are in this position of power, like, they are not evil. They care. And even Jerez cares, as we've seen. he knows he's basically like, I'm taking this sin on my soul because it has to be done. Yes, and the world has gone through an apocalypse and is in the middle of another apocalypse, and it's just a lot is really terrible here. I was walking around trying to get a sense for the different military commanders, trying to see how this place is built. But it's nice to see his face because he seems like such a significant part of the story, you know. Am I going the right way? Yes. I sure hope I haven't missed anything. I do worry about missing story bits. Aloy is concerned.
Glad to be rid of that place. Now I just need to find the orbital launch base they talked about.
That's in Utah.
I've checked my data and located the base. That's the good news.
And the bad?
It's directly underneath the Citadel. The palace at Sunfall.
The capital of the Shadow Carja. Not exactly convenient.
That's interesting.
The palace is crawling with Eclipse agents. Many in positions of authority, all of them wearing focuses. The moment they see you, Hades will too. He'll issue another kill order, and this time, the entire Shadow Carja military will be after you.
So, disable their focuses. You've done it before.
It's not that simple. Too many focuses in one place, each of them communicating with each other and back to Hades, a whole network of them.
Network? What's that?
Imagine a vast, invisible web stretched across the land from end to end, connecting focuses together, allowing them to communicate over vast distances instantaneously.
All right, so is there some way to cut the web down?
Crash the network. Audacious. Yes, there is a way. A weak point in the network.
Point the way.
I'll send the location data to your focus. Head there, and I'll be in touch when you're close with more directions.
What was Zero Dawn? What sort of super weapon did Elizabet make? She stopped the machines. Not before the world she knew, her civilization, ended. Let's hope it won't come to that again.
Yeah. Phew. Well, I sure hope that I didn't lose, or that I didn't miss anything there, but my god, okay. So they are holding off on the big reveal of what Zero Dawn is. The orbital network presumably...
Now, how am I gonna get down from here?
Presumably following this yellow
This should be quite the ride.
Oh man, okay. It's nothing... Oh, wait. Hold on. There was that power cell last time that I had to climb up to. But I did get a power cell here already, so maybe I have to do this. And yeah, no, Aloy needs to have a few things explained, but she gets them like superhumanly fast almost. She's so good at piecing things together. And it's neat because that's... Like, I thought it kind of stretched credibility in a way that she was able to make sense of what she learned from the Focus as a little girl. But they make it very clear that, like, it's an intentional thing. It's part of who she is uniquely as a person. All right. This is going to be a hell of a ride, she says. Jeez. Wow. Oh, this... I wondered where this... Holy crap! What was I supposed to do there? I was probably supposed to jump or let go or do something.
Now, how am I gonna get down from here? Oh. This should be quite the ride.
I don't know if this was a glitch in the system, or if this was me, failing at, Oh! Oh, I think I might have pressed a button or something like that.
I'd do that again, if it weren't so much work to get back up there.
So that's cute. She has fun with it. Whew! My goodness. Yeah, I think I pressed a button or I did something because I thought I was at the end and I wasn't. Let's go save. That's a lot to take in. But it's very good. So I could conceivably go play the DLC, but I feel like I'm supposed to play the DLC later in the story. That's my impression anyway, usually with DLC, is that's usually meant to be played like 3/4 of the way through a game like this. I don't know if that's necessarily true, but I'm going to turn this down a little bit. We do have that as an option. And maybe Elizabeth loved roller coasters. No, that's true. So we have... What is that question mark? Oh, metal flower. Okay. Vantage point question mark. Yeah, you know, if there is a best time to play the DLC, like... Okay. Because if this doesn't feel like a good time in the narrative to do it, personally, and if it's very challenging, then that's great, and I'll wait until I'm farther along in the game and go from there. Man, that was such a good one. This was powerful. So I have one more power cell to get before I can go get the Mewtwo. Yeah, okay, so I'll wait. I'm currently 52% through the game, so we'll hold off on that. Excellent, then I won't worry about that. So we have ahead of us some stuff to curse the darkness. I love that I love that Aloy having to have this network explained to her. Did I save properly? Having to have this network explained to her. I'm gonna go save because I don't trust myself if I actually saved. But having to have the network explained to her, actually what prompts her to be like, well, why don't we just take that down? And Sylens is like, oh, that would require bravery, which I don't have. You know? Sylens is a very despicable character, and I love that everybody hates him, you know? So in a way, there was nothing here that was like a giant plot reveal of stuff we hadn't already sort of known, but it put a lot of things into perspective, and it characterized some of the people involved, but more than anything, I think what this particular section of the game did is filled in pieces of the story, like filled in what happened between the beginning of the end and the end. You know, there's a period of like 1.5 years in there that we didn't know. And so having that fleshed out, understanding how horrifying the situation had become and how desperate things were, I think provides the context that we will be able to forgive if we have not yet pieced together what Zero Dawn is. If the player right now, that's still a mystery and doesn't have those guesses, what this is doing is justifying the decision that was made, so that when we then go and get that reveal at a later date, we understand that the world was going to go extinct anyway. The situation was dire. There was nothing else that could be done. The humans that made this decision understood the cost of what they did, and so on. Like that, I think that makes a very, I think that plays a very important role in developing the player's emotional reaction to things. Because if you don't have that, and you're maybe not paying super close attention and you've missed some data points and things, then when you get to the big reveal of what Zero Dawn is, you could be horrified and say none of this is understandable, none of this is sympathetic, and reject it. And they want to make sure that doesn't happen. And so doing this is a smart move on their part, because like it is, I think, in order for you to kind of, I mean, you can still kind of recoil at the horror of it, and I feel like I've already kind of had my experience of recoiling at the horror of it at this point when they reveal that, when they explain that, unless it turns out I'm off the mark. And I'm sorry if it's arrogant of me to be like, well, this is clearly how things are. But so far, the big pieces that I figured out have been more or less confirmed. Sometimes I have like the right idea in the wrong direction, or I have an idea in the right direction, but it doesn't quite go in the right place. And so I feel like I have a pretty good grasp of what's going on. So I feel fairly confident that what I've got is going to be close enough to be recognizable to what actually the game has to give us. So I hope you'll forgive me. It's funny because I'm pretty sure that I originally called this arc theory kind of my like crackpot theory, where I was like, I kind of have this idea and I didn't really have much to base it on other than having a familiarity with science fiction as a genre, having read other stories that did things like that, and like having like a bunch of possibilities of what could have happened here based on my genre knowledge. And then we've been sort of narrowing it down, and I was like, I keep feeling like it's this one. And then everything so far has been lining up with that. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. And maybe I'm cocky. Maybe I need to get knocked down a peg. We'll see. If you, by the way, want to join in the behind-the-scenes discussion of things, because I'm very please don't spoil things for me. I have a very, very no spoilers policy. If you're exploding and you want to talk with other people who do know the game about the spoilers on the Discord that we have, there is a channel that is specifically stream spoilers that I have muted. I do not go there. Folks can go there and be the peanut gallery. So if you want to go in there, just pop on the Discord, ask a mod to give you stream spoilers access, and jump on in. Some people will just completely mute the server and they'll just pop in the peanut gallery to watch and talk about whatever game I'm playing at the time. And so if Discords are overwhelming, but that sounds like a good time, you're welcome to do so. I'm told that it's fun and that sometimes people just yell because I'm either really close or really struggling or go off on a completely wrong direction. If you see this little mini golfing symbol, by the way, mini golfing is what we call when I'm speculating, and especially like the wider my speculation is, the more I'm mini golfing. This goes back to when I played Final Fantasy X on stream years ago and came up with this kind of convoluted this guess is what I thought was going on with the plot, and I compared it to a mini golf course, and I actually wasn't wrong. I wasn't quite right, but I was recognizably like, oh, you actually guessed some of like the fundamental underpinnings of the Final Fantasy X storyline, Lauren. Good job. But so since then we call it mini golfing, and I think I'm funny. But yeah, so I do this every Tuesday. I've been focusing on main story stuff for a bit. I don't know next week we will not be playing because next week I have a concert that I will be going to. Super Guitar Bros are in town. But I will be picking back up. There will be a Tuesday that I will miss, I think, because my bandmate Wedge is coming to town. Unless I stream, I don't know, we'll see. I'll keep you all posted, so follow me on social or Discord and I'll let you know. But we'll figure out if we're going to do main story stuff or go mess around a little bit more here, finish turning in some of these quests. Yes, that's right, my bandmate Wedge did pick her nickname because she's a big Star Wars fan. I'm really glad you could make this one too. Yeah, no, this is a very big, very exciting one. We could go to some other things. We could knock out a few more things. We'll figure that out next time. If you have really strong opinions where you would really, really like for me to to do something like, oh, let's take some time to get some more vantage points, or let's take some time to get some more flowers, or whatever. Ooh, look at this. We're going over here. The location that Sylens indicated. There's a bunch of flowers and stuff along the way. So that's cool. Yeah, maybe we'll wander off that way and see what happens. But if you have really, really strong opinions about what you'd like for me to do next, feel free to bring those suggestions. I will take those suggestions. We don't have a whole lot of side quests right now to choose from. I really want to get my Mewtwo armor, but I can't yet. I'm still missing one power cell. But then I will go get my Mewtwo armor. Thanks. I know it's very slow. But I appreciate all of you joining me. And for those of you who are like new and this is your first Lauren stream, I feel like you have a pretty good idea now of what you're getting into as far as Lauren streams. This is how much I talk. This is how much I pick things apart. This is how much I think about the story and get sidetracked. And I'm actually not bad at this game, which is astonishing. because I don't have a lot of experience. The last open world game I played was the very first Assassin's Creed when it was new. And I don't really play shooters much, but apparently in improving the rest of my gaming skills playing other games, I've apparently developed some ability to handle shooters like this. So it's very exciting. So if this is fun for you, please feel free to join us. We will be doing this with some regularity. I am very, very, very close to beating Hades. On Thursday this week or next week, one of these Thursdays, I will be beating Hades. Which I'm very excited about. I will be getting a more advanced ending than the last ending that I got. So if you want to join us for that, that'll be happening. I don't currently have a weekend stream planned. If I do decide to do something, I'll let folks know. Maybe I'll do like a music stream or something like that. We'll see. But yeah, I've got more music and more writing and more things that I will be continuing to put out into the world if that sounds like a good time too. So yeah, thank you so much for being here, for sticking around, for hanging out, for joining me, for adding your enthusiasm and your thoughts and your opinions, your spoiler-free thoughts and opinions. Yeah, it's been delightful. This has been a lot of fun. I really am loving the hell out of this game. It's good stuff. Let's just be glad we don't have decisions like this to make, but we can still make the world a little bit better every day. So let's do what we can for that, shall we? All right. Take care of yourselves, folks, all right? Do some self-care. Drink some water. Stretch your legs. Get a little sunlight if you can tomorrow. And I will see you, if not later this week, then sometime next week. Good night!